Okay, I'm Ranber Maan and I work for the South West Regional Development Agency within the innovation team, and we're responsible for delivering the grant for research and development within the region. It's a national scheme underwritten by DS that's delivered locally by the RDA. It was passed to us in 2005 and we had a budget of £4.5 million to deliver into the region. Okay, it's quite a complicated picture out there of where it actually fits into financial support and innovation support, but we sort of put it in as a halfway house between traditional funding for business and innovation support, in that it provides financial and innovation support together for a discrete project. It's one of the products that has sort of part of the business support simplification program that will survive, has a product that will be ongoing. And it helps small SMEs get onto the finance escalator so they can, start to grow and gain credibility to get further investment from some of the traditional funding streams. Okay, what is Grant for R&D? It's a scheme that's open to SMEs only. Our cash has to be matched with your hard cash. There's no in-kind matching allowed. It supports the bringing of innovative products or processes to market to normally generate a pre-production prototype or prove a concept. It's a discrete project. There's no need to have any collaborations with any other partners, but we do look favourable in companies that work with local universities or national universities to bring some knowledge from the higher educational sector and transfer some knowledge into the SME so they can exploit that knowledge in the marketplace. And again, the scheme is there essentially to share risk with the SME, and this is for typically projects that cannot be funded using normal funding streams. Yeah, it's there. We're there to share the risk with the company. Okay, the products on offer. The vertical axis shows the amount of funding available. And along the horizontal axis, you've got the 4 types of grants on offer. The smallest grant on offer are typically called a micro grant, and I'll cover these in more detail in a couple of slides that follow. But that's funding up to £20,000 at an intervention rate of 45%, and that's a micro development project. The next one up is £100,000 funding at an intervention rate of 60%. That's a research project, and you can see the intervention rate there is a lot higher than the development projects because that's further from the market, greater risk. So it needs that bit of extra help to get that project off the ground. The 2 larger development projects are both at 35%, and you can see the development one, you can have grants up to £250,000, and the exceptional development grant can bring in grant of up to £500,000. And the intervention rates for the exceptional are negotiable up to 35% funding. Right, the micro project is a project designed for smaller SMEs with 10 employees or less, and it helps sort of the smaller companies bring an idea or a concept to a pre-production prototype stage. The lasts up to 12 months, and again it's £20,000. An example of a micro project, we didn't have any here this morning that were presented, but we had a student who did a final year project where he designed a novel interlocking flood barrier to replace heavy and messy sandbags. And he applied for a grant because he wanted to set up his own business, take this idea forward because it had a lot of interest. And the micro project enabled him to develop the prototype system that was tested to enable it to meet British flood prevention standards. And then he got a lot of interest from people who were interested in replacing traditional sandbags, for example. And get the confidence again, the grant allowed further investment from investors to take that company forward. Research projects, again, these are projects that are quite far from market, where there's an idea that needs researching that doesn't necessarily make a pre-production prototype, but it proves the concept and its commercial feasibility. These can last 6 to 18 months. And again, the funding for this level of grant is £100,000 at an intervention rate of 60%. For that type of project, because it's a research project, 20% of the funds are paid in advance to get the project going, and then they're clawed back as the project goes by paying the grant at a slightly lower level. Okay, an example of a research project for an electronics industry would be to prove a new type of electronic device on a breadboard level, quite large and bulky, but it proves a concept on a bench level. But it would still need a discrete development phase to take it to market. On a research project, we would look for the business plan to a research phase, then how the company is going to commercialise it with a discrete development phase to follow on afterwards. To say that the research is definitely going to be exploited. Development projects, again, these are larger scale development projects which attract a funding of up to £250,000 and can go on for up to three years. An example of this is a company in Bristol who did some very research on some novel polymers with very particular adhesion characteristics, and they knew that these could be used to develop a removable chewing gum. So they took the research and put a development program that enabled them to take the bench scale production, scale it up, to enable them to make the polymer in greater quantities, compound flavours into it, and all the things that go into chewing gum, to be able to present a packet of chewing gum to put in front of a larger player in the market, or even take it to market themselves. So that's a kind of product that resulted in a pre-production prototype of a product that could then attract further leverage of funding to take the company forwards. Exceptional development projects are up to £500,000 grant, and we currently aren't funding any, but we are open to, if there's the right one out there, we will fund it. But there's a more tighter scrutiny of these because of the grant level involved and the level of impact they're due to have on British industry. Okay, that's the products on offer, and if you want to go ahead and apply, it's a fairly straightforward process, we say, and we've learned a lot of lessons from doing the scheme for just over 3 years now. We've consulted previous recipients, and we've taken on board the lessons, trying to reduce our time and make the process a lot slicker. We haven't a formal expression of interest process, but we are currently piloting an expression of interest form that anyone in contact with us directly, we can send them the form. It's just a one-pager that asks for highlights of the project, which saves you doing a full-blown application, which needs quite a lot of time, which is valuable for SMEs. The guidelines are a very clear document that can be downloaded from the website listed there, and it's the agency homepage with /GRD on the end, which takes you directly to the Grant for R&D homepage. And on there you can download the application forms, the guidance notes for applicants, and the financial schedules. Now the processing time differs. Every project that we receive is different. Some projects are fairly straightforward, very clear application, and we can sort of storm through it. But some of them do generate questions, either generated by the panel, the external referee that we use, or for a financial assessment, which can delay our decision. But we do target ourselves with a 90-day window to give the SME a decision. We try our best to meet that wherever possible.